Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Turnbuckle Sessions. I am Thomas Montalto, and joining me today, uh, Chad from the Turnbuckle Tavern, the flagship show, one of the co-founders. How you doing, Chad?
Good, man. What's going on?
Not much. We're here today to discuss what we've seen in AEW since All Out and talk a little bit about the future. But really, one of the things I wanted to talk about was the booking from what we've seen from AEW for the last couple of months, because I'm sure you would agree, the booking has not been the same for the last 2.5 months that we were
No,
used to in AEW.
no, it's not bad.
No,
You know
I
what I
wouldn't
mean?
call
Like
it bad.
it's not bad. It's just it
Adjusting,
hasn't been like the lead up to Full Gear was not like the lead up to All Out.
right?
Um and we talked about this on the flagship Thursday show for a couple weeks. Me and Sneed were just kind of seeing that they were trying to do a lot throughout all the dynamites and the rampages. They were showcasing a lot of young talent, which I love that they do that. They had a couple of the big pay-per-view stories that they were leaning heavy into telling the week-to-week stories, like the ATT Dan Lambert thing. I feel like they were always getting big segments. Um, but there was a little bit of like, I felt like some of the major matches going into Full Gear didn't have a lot of story. And I think it was some of those it was the new talent, the Adam Cole thing. I feel like they didn't know where to go with that. There was a lot of like six-man tags. Um there wasn't a true feud, because if you remember, the Bucks and Adam Cole, not only were they having matches and kind of feuding with Jurassic Express and Christian, but then they would be feuding with Dark Order because Hangman's tied in with them and the
Right.
Kenny situation. So that it seemed like a lot of stuff was being spread thin, and there wasn't focus on some of these guys. Even Danielson, I feel like that tournament, I love the tournament format, but that tournament is also a way to put in some really good matches without having to give up time for storylines.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love great matches. We all love great matches. And I feel like this was the shortest period between two pay-per-views. It was only about a little over 2 months. So they had to cram a lot into a little. But I feel like a lot of times people will lean on, yeah, but the matches are great. Dude, the matches are always great. I can't complain at all, but I do love good storytelling with my matches.
Yeah, and to go with what you were saying, there's no doubt in my mind a lot of it got disheveled with the additions of uh, Brian Danielson.
Yeah.
There I go again.
Yeah.
Uh, CM Punk, Adam Cole. You know, they weren't planned. I think AEW has a very formatted plan usually, and things were just kind of thrown up in the air when they signed all of them, kind of at once. Cole and Brian definitely were at the same time, to the point where, and I love the matches that Brian Danielson has had, but it
Oh,
almost
they've been
felt like to the
phenomenal.
point that they just were finding ways to put him on TV every week, like almost as if it was forced because they wanted him on TV.
Right. And this is just me critiquing against what they've already shown.
Right, I agree.
This isn't me saying it's bad per se, because I do think there's something to be said with Punk, with Danielson, taking time with those guys and not shoving them in these big storylines right out of the gate. Let them kind of come in, do a bunch of quote unquote dream matches to varying degrees. Let them get their feet under them while the people that are already there shake out their storylines. And Tony Khan has said he doesn't want to rush these guys into these monster matches right out of the gate, because then he blows his load and he has nothing to look forward to. Like, we still have yet to look forward to a Bryan Danielson world heavyweight feud, a CM Punk world heavyweight feud, an
Mhm.
Adam Cole world heavyweight feud, and any iteration of any of those matches. So I'm not hard on it. I just think another big thing that people that may have made it seem like there wasn't a ton of story going in. Not only did we have the world title eliminator tournament going on, but we had the TBS women's tournament going on. So
Yeah.
there was two tournaments. So a lot of the matches getting time on Rampage and Dynamite were tournament matches that sure some of the women's matches were kind of keyed up with a little bit of feuds in the background, you know, Bunny and Anna Jay, they were feuding and some of that stuff, but still, yeah, like when you put two tournaments, giving up all that time, it takes away some of these like story builds. And I felt it going into Full Gear.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing we forget not to mention is that they had the Arthur Ashe show just a few weeks after All Out that they had to set that up for too.
Right,
So there
right,
was less time to set up for the pay-per-view because they had to get through that first, which was a pay-per-view quality card in
right.
itself over 2 nights.
Oh,
So
absolutely. And
so
they had that banger Omega Danielson match going to a 30-minute draw where instantly you're thinking, you know, what are they going to do to top this? I don't think you can get into that game of trying to top matches like that. You just want to come out and put out a great match in it in its own, on its own merit. But I do think the one thing, and maybe this will lead into when we talk about Full Gear itself. Up until the week before Full Gear, I was really kind of iffy about the way they handled Omega Hangman.
yeah,
I,
I get it.
I felt like I this was a story that had been building for 3 years, um, or more if you watched
Yeah,
pre AEW, New Japan and all that. Like it's been building for a long, long time. It's their longest running story. And then finally, when we're getting that culmination, I was thinking this story was really gonna ramp up with some like a lot of vignettes, a lot of backstage stuff, a lot of you know, promo work and things like that. And they didn't. And you know, with Hangman taking himself out of the All Out due to having a child, it really in the weeks leading up to it, I was worried. Like, man, I get that there's all this history already there, but you would I thought they would ramp it up to just a fever pitch right before the event, but they didn't. But that contract signing was so damn good that it almost made me forgive the weeks prior.
yeah, man, I can't agree more. That contract signing is the way contract signing should be. You don't need a person going through a table every single time.
No,
Or I mean, just the verbiage back and forth, the things that they were saying meant so much. Absolutely love that contract signing. And like you said, it almost made you forget the less of a buildup they had before that. Yeah,
absolutely. And the just real quick on that contract
yeah,
signing, like the there's been so many contract signings in wrestling, especially, you know, WWE, it almost became like a running a trope, you know, a running
yeah,
gag.
100%.
Like we knew someone was going to go through the table. It became this thing. So there's so many to pull from that I know I'm leaving some out, but instantly for me, like that was one of the more memorable contract signings I can remember. Like instantly you go to the Hogan Andre Piper's Pit, or not Piper's
Yeah.
Pit, the Hogan Andre with Jack Tunney.
Jack Tunney sitting at the head of the
Like
table.
you go to that one. That's like an iconic one. And then this one pops up. I mean, the whole thing with like when they come out, the first thing me and Steve both said was like, "Where is Callis?" Because we were furious. Like Callis hadn't been there for weeks. He was a pivotal part of the package of Omega for me.
Oh, I agree.
And he was gone, and we're like, "What the fuck, man? This is the go home show. You gotta have Callis." And then when he's the cameraman, and they totally swerved me, like I did not see it coming. Uh, it it was perfect. And the verbiage that Hangman and Omega was saying to each other made it really personal. And the way Omega was playing to his emotions, and then when Callis revealed himself and Omega went back to the shitty heel, and it was just expertly done. So it kind of changed my mind on that build.
Yeah, and even, watching Omega for the 6 weeks without Callus, it was noticeable he was missing. Part of what made this whole run for Omega work was Callus. He was such a pivotal part of it, you
It's
know?
the whole packet. Like to me,
Yeah.
the Elite over the last year, a little less than a year, but since this inception of the Elite, it's the entire package, even down to Brandon Cutler and Nakazawa, like even them being there with the cold spray and
Yeah.
the laptop, and Callus just being such a shitbag on the mic, and the Bucks being overly obnoxious. They were such a good heel faction. So to take Callus out in the majority of this build up to Full Gear, I was like, man, what are they doing? Like, he's not, where's he at? And then when he revealed himself, I'm like, okay, you got me back. You got me back.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. The other thing I've noticed over the last few months more, and this I'm not necessarily, this is not a bad thing, but we've seen more rematches in the last 3 months of AEW than we had the prior 2 years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not an excessive amount of rematches by any means.
No,
Um,
and a lot of like variations of like the whole Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, Christian Cage with the Super Click, variations
yes,
of them. I kind of, I'm really wanting to see Adam Cole get into a singles feud with someone. Like
I
I,
agree.
I get you're having fun with your buddies. You're back with the Bucks. You guys are enjoying working together, but I want to see someone step up, and I want to see one of those because we've seen Adam Cole do it in NXT. He's a master at
So
building
good.
story like that. So I want to see what they got for Adam
We
Cole
saw,
next.
we saw a little tease on, was
Yeah,
it Rampage or Dynamite with the face off? I think it was Rampage, the
yeah,
face off with him and Adam
Adam.
Page when he
Yeah,
came in.
the
And
two Adams.
the two Adams, the battle of the Adams. And we got another tease at the end of the match with the Young Bucks coming out during the main event, and who knows where that's going. That was, some exciting stuff leading to the future. I really think it's just an adjustment period for AEW between adding the extra hour of TV, between having the new names in. Um, Now I think Tony Khan's probably sat back and he's got a better plan for the next 3 months for planning the next pay per view. He has more time. He's getting used to the extra hour of TV. He said he's done a very, very good job with balancing how often we see people on TV.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see him do a better job of that over the next 3 months again. We were actually even seeing people on Dynamite and Rampage, some of the same people the same week.
Oh
Even
yeah,
some of the CM Punk stuff. I love CM Punk, but even some of his appearances felt kind of forced. Um, we need
yeah.
to get
He
him on TV.
yeah. I think he's gonna. I feel like Punk's gonna. There's something big in store for him. It might be a
Yeah,
minute before he pulls the trigger on that, Tony Khan, but
yeah,
they're keeping him undefeated for a reason, and something's
yes,
going to happen big. And another thing people I don't think consider, and maybe Tony Khan doesn't want to put value on each pay-per-view, but in the eyes of the fans, speaking solely for myself, Full Gear is the lesser of the four. Like
okay,
when I think of the top two, their top two events is All Out and Double or Nothing.
okay,
And then Revolution, I would even put above Full Gear because Revolution, I mean, the Revolution in February when Mox won the title off of Jericho right before the pandemic hit was one of the best cards ever. You know,
mm-hmm.
that the Bucks and Hangman Omega, that match was like a match of the year, one of the best tag team matches of all time. So I've always looked at Full Gear as the lesser of the four, not to take anything away from it, because only having four events in a calendar year, I think makes every single one of them important in their own way. But I definitely feel like Full Gear to me has always felt like this is setting the table for the next year. This is
Yes,
this is a clean wiping away some of the old feuds, starting some, putting the pieces in place for the year to come. Because you know Last year's Full Gear was when we had Omega beat Hangman, and then several weeks after that's when he won the title off of Mox, and that kicked off 2021 being the year of Omega.
Yeah.
So I feel like they plant seeds at Full Gear. I feel like.
Yeah, and like I said, we saw it again this year. And again, I don't mind. Like, listen, for the $50 for a pay per view for the 4 pay per views we got this year, I did not feel robbed on anything.
No,
Like,
and
feels like a
match
value with
quality.
how good these cards are. Like, even like we talked about, we didn't feel the buildup was great for this card, but the card still blew us away. Like the matches themselves, you start off with Darby Allen and MJF,
Oh,
and would like you start a show like that with that kind of a match. It's like, how do you even follow that? That match far blew away anything I expected from it. I knew it would be good. And the other amazing thing about it was that's the first, of the 4 young guys who started with AEW that we've really seen them fight. Like, you consider, well,
on
Adam,
a big stage. I mean, Sammy
yeah,
had MJF and Jungle Boy and MJF had a little bit of a feud, but this
yeah,
was like this to me was the match of all of those iterations of the 4
yes,
pillars. Like
yeah,
these guys, I said it in our group chat that night. I feel like I paused to say it was the match of the night because there was probably 3 or 4 matches on that card that has an argument to be match of the night.
right.
But 100% that was MJF and Darby Allin's crowning achievement in AEW.
Oh man, somebody in our group chat compared her to Sting and Ric Flair. And I thought that was the perfect comparison because we're going to see this feud just carry on for years and
Yeah, I
years.
think it was
And
Boney. Boney
yeah,
said that.
I think it was J Bone. As a matter of fact, I feel pretty safe saying one day these two are going to main event one of these cards for the
Well,
AEW
yeah,
title.
that's what I love
So
about those 4 guys. I feel like there's going to be feuds with all 4 of them for
yes,
years and years to come. And
yeah,
I love the storytelling in that match was so subtle how MJF leading into that match said he was going to beat Darby with a side headlock takeover. And then at the end, he punches him with the diamond ring and does the side headlock takeover and gets the win. So there was
yeah.
such storytelling in that.
And the work that had to go into planning that match, it was a like piece of art. It really
Oh,
was.
when they were trading near falls at the beginning of the match, and that whole sequence was just it was like a dance. Like,
Yeah,
it was
it really
so
was.
well done.
And they were hitting each other, man. You could see the impact they were hitting each other with. They
Yeah.
weren't taking it easy on each other.
No. I
The one shot
I
of
know.
Darby flying out of the ring into
Oh,
MJF. Holy
I love
smokes! I
that.
felt
The
that through my TV.
like a missile. And there's been a lot of people, there's been a lot of fans critique MJF about, he's great on the stick, but he doesn't have it in the ring. He's just kind of blah in the ring. And I'm like, that if that match doesn't shut up that critique of him, I mean,
Mm,
that is wrestling 101. I mean,
it
is
really
he
was.
doing all these high spots and all this crazy shit? No, but that is what we grew up on. That's just straight up wrestling, man.
Yeah, and you start the show with that match, and then you end it with Paige and Omega. Like I honestly think that might have been the best open and closing combo I've ever seen on any pay per view ever.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
I mean they pretty much kicked it off and said follow this, and then everyone else had to rise to the occasion.
and you listening to Sam Roberts' show today, he talked about the 2 must-see matches with CM Punk and Eddie Kingston and Omega and Page. I'm like, how do you not even mention MJF and Darby?
Oh, I
Like,
know. Yeah.
it's just so hard, but like you said, there was just some work put into this card, and you gotta love when every match is working to outdo the other ones, and they're rising up. It was
It was a uh, like we said in the hanging at the tavern, it's these matches where you feel like, yeah, I would give the build to this pay-per-view probably like a B.
yeah,
If it wasn't for that contract signing, I would have gave it a B minus, but
yeah,
I'd give it a solid B, just as compared to previous pay-per-views. But the we said like these are the type of cards that are just going to bring it. You're not going to expect a whole lot, and
that's true.
I would give the event a solid A minus, B plus, A minus. Like,
Yeah, I think at least A minus. I was just and thoroughly enjoyed it the whole time. Talk about becoming a next level star. How good did Ty Conti look in there with Britt Baker?
Oh, they look great, and I felt bad for them because it's one of those things like, what a card. I mean, they elevated each other, and
They did.
I
They
thought
truly
Ty
did. Exactly how I
put
felt.
put on the match of her career too.
Yeah.
But man, talk about pressure. When you're Ty Conti, you were, for lack of a better word, an NXT reject that WWE didn't see anything in. Tony Khan sees something in you, brings you in. You've had good matches, you know, they've been slowly building you, and then you're thrust into this event, which I didn't think the build was that great to this event. There wasn't a
Oh, it
lot of heat
wasn't.
on this match. So here you are, and then you're watching these bangers happen, and you're like, "Oh shit, we've got to go in." You don't want to be the popcorn match where everyone gets up and goes and gets a beer. But I thought they brought it. I thought it was a good match.
Not only did they bring it, but the whole presentation of the match, the way it started, felt like a big fight,
Oh
like,
yeah.
presentation. So hats off for them to doing that in the middle of a stacked card and match after match. And like I said, congrats to both of those women for bringing it. I look
Who do
forward to
you
seeing
think's
them battle
next
for the
for
women's
Britt?
title
Yeah,
as a challenger.
yeah. Who do
Oh
you think's
man,
next?
Thunder Rosa's got to be in there soon, I would think.
I'm wondering if they're I'm wondering if they're going to let Britt hold that belt for a year, and then they have Thunder Rosa penciled in for Double or Nothing in Vegas. I mean, that would
So
be a
what do you do
great.
with Britt before then? Because I'm trying to
I,
think of who's not even involved in a tournament right now.
it's tough, man. I mean, it's so weird too right now for me. Like that's probably the hardest prediction as far as looking into the future for AEW in the year of 2022 is because now that they have that second title, the TBS women's title, you don't know who's going to be vying for that, who's going to be vying for the world title, like how are they going to shake out the hierarchy of the women's division? And I think that makes it really difficult in a good way to kind of like, okay, how's this going to play out? Because if Thunder Rosa wins that tournament and becomes the TBS champion, what's that mean for her feud with Britt?
Yeah, that's true.
Are they going to do the belt versus belt type of thing? I don't think they will. I think that takes away from having a secondary belt if you just
Yeah,
put it on,
I agree.
so you've got Ruby Soho in there.
Yeah,
Um, you've got Jade who they're obviously grooming to be something big.
yeah.
So who knows, man?
What about this? I can throw a weird name out there, a surprise name, Jamie Hayter.
Turns on her. Yeah, you could do that. She's
I
such a
mean,
natural heel though.
yeah,
Um,
that's true.
I mean, Statlander had that match at
Yeah, she was at the last at All
yeah, at
Out.
All Out. So
What a stacked women's division they have now.
yeah, yeah.
They let it simmer and look what they've built it to.
And I think
That's
they're going
why
to start targeting some free agents and start bringing in some women in 2022.
I mean they're building stars on their own there. They don't even need to if they didn't want
It's
to, but I
true.
wouldn't be
It's true.
shocked. I mean, they've got the most over women's division now in all of wrestling. It's surpassed WWE's by far, in my opinion. WWE's is
I
kind of
think
gone
I think
stale.
my only thing with that is like I think they're handling a lot of their potential mid card, low card females. I think they're AEW's handling them a lot better as far as like putting them in little feuds and giving them something to do that's interesting. But I still feel like AEW lacks those top tier names yet. I don't look at all respect to Ty Conte. She's great. All respect to Chris Statlander. She's great. Nyla Rose, cool. They don't have that Becky, Charlotte, Bailey, Sasha. They don't have the only girl, the only two people I think I would put in that top tier of the Becky, Bailey, the four horsewomen, I think would be Britt and Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, I can't
And
really
that's not
argue that
taking
one.
anything away. Those women have had tons more experience and they've been in the spotlight for a lot longer, but they've got a little bit to go before I think they have the superstar top tier of WWE. Now, WWE, I don't think books anyone good though. That's their
No.
problem. Like their mid and low card women's division is trash.
Yes. And everything else is just recycled.
Right. And a lot
So
of
here it is.
rematches, a lot of the same old,
Survivor
same old.
Series was seeing, Becky versus Charlotte again.
Yeah. And they're having to
Not,
like dip into reality to make it interesting.
yeah, exactly. I mean, not that they don't put on a damn good show every time you see them fight. However, we've seen it before, and
Yeah.
we'll
They're not
see it
building their low
again.
and mid card,
No,
like
they haven't built any women. I guess they're giving a little push to Liv Morgan now, but that's not gonna last. And it's a
they
shame because I
cooled.
feel like she has a lot to offer.
Yeah. And they cooled Bianca off. I feel like she was
Yeah.
starting to try and work her way into that upper echelon with those women, and then they
Yep.
just pulled her out of it. So I don't know.
Well, let's just talk about that. We're talking about gonna kind of compare it to what's going on in AEW now. Okay, so let me get the name right. Bryan Danielson. It's so easy to introvert those names.
Oh, I
Introvert,
know.
was that the right word? We
Yeah.
heard JR do it the other night. I do it all the time. I call
Oh,
him
I do too.
Danielson. It's like,
Yeah.
um, so he comes in. So many people were predicting he was going to lose to Miro, and I'm like, no way. They didn't give the guy this money and have him on his run to come and lose to Miro.
Right.
So now he's the number one contender for Adam Page. Think of what it means to Adam Page if he could actually go and defeat him.
And that's what's
If
going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's what that legitimizes Adam Page so much more. If his first, I don't know if it'll be his first defense when that match is going to happen. I don't think they're going to make us wait till Revolution.
I think that's going to be a dynamite match,
It's going to be an
honestly.
amazing match, but I just think it elevates Page so much more to get the win over him. If they don't do that, and I think eventually Brian will get the title before Omega gets back, because eventually the feud is going to be Omega, like I've said 1,000 times. Omega is going to be chasing Brian. Omega might take some time off, and Brian's like, no, you have to earn it now.
Right.
Let's just keep teasing that match. Don't give it to us for
Right.
for a long while.
Danielson Hangman is not going to be a revolution. I mean, if you look at the way that's December, January, February, that's over 3 months away. And if you look at it, when Hangman or when Omega won that tournament last year, it was on a Dynamite special, the Winter is
Yeah,
Coming Dynamite edition, when he won that title. Tony doesn't wait. And that's the thing too with their pay-per-view builds. A lot of times, like coming out of a pay-per-view, it takes a minute to really see how the next pay-per-view is shaking out.
yes,
Like you think you know where they're going to go, but they're not going to they're not going to show their cards too early.
yeah,
And on Hanging at the Tavern, I had picked Miro to win because I thought Hangman was going to win. But the beauty of Tony Khan is he has Danielson win, which immediately puts doubt in people's heads that, oh, they're going to do Omega Danielson 2 for the title.
yeah,
Well, now it's going to be Danielson Hangman. And I had spoke about on Hanging at the Tavern how I thought Danielson would lose to Miro because he's a very selfless wrestler. Like he doesn't mind putting someone else over. And I think this applies even more to that. The fact that he goes against Hangman, you want to make a homegrown star credible as a champion, have him
exactly.
beat Bryan Danielson.
The guy who's been the top.
Killing dudes.
Yeah, I think he's
Like,
been top in the game for the last 10 years.
yeah,
So,
and he's on a historic run right now. Every match he's put on has been just phenomenal. And now you have this young homegrown champion who the casual fan, the WWE fan may look at him as like, who's this guy? The AEW faithful love Hangman, but
yeah,
anyone who's not a week to week AEW guy might look at him and be like, Daniel's going to run through this guy. But then what happens when Hangman gets that win? It instantly
exactly.
is like, oh, this guy's legit. He's a made man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. It just makes sense. It just gives so much more credibility to Hangman to get a win over him like that. And what a match it's going to be. It's going to be a barn burner. I can't wait to see that
Oh, I
match.
know, man.
I'm going to predict That match might be on the first TBS airing of Dynamite.
Yep. I could see it being there. I could also see it being at that first TNT quarterly special on January 8th.
Oh, it's the same week too, isn't it?
And I could even see it. Tony Khan has said that he wants Winter is Coming to be an annual thing. So I think in December, we're going to get another Winter is Coming Dynamite special.
That makes sense too.
So it could be there
Wow.
again.
Because if you have the quarterly special the same week that they debut on TBS, I think that wow, and because the it's going to be back at the Prudential Center in Jersey, 15,000 people will fit into that arena for Dynamite. So I
That'll be
guess
a big, they'll do something big for that.
yeah, I'm probably gonna have to get tickets and go see it again.
yeah,
Um,
you got to do that, man.
how do I not go to that? The first one on TBS, something's gonna happen. It's
Oh,
gonna
if
be a
it's right
blockbuster
there
show.
too, if it's in your state, you got to go.
Yeah, I gotta go.
You
I'll
got
be
to go.
there. I'll have to go there. Looking forward. What else coming out of here? Okay, they also built up Adam Cole, Adam Page a little bit. We saw the tease for that. We got the curiosity. Now, what's going to happen with the
That could
Bucks
be
and
Revolution.
that could be Revolution.
That could be Revolution. That they could have put that cheese out there. He goes into Revolution with a win over Danielson, and Cole has stepped up. It's possible.
I mean, as you like to say, there's been a lot of little breadcrumbs planted because we also saw, Adam Cole with Bobby Fish,
Yep.
hugging again, and now the whole thing. Like, where is this all going to lead? I actually was expecting to see Bobby Fish. I thought he might have been the one to cost the Bucks and Adam Cole that match, and
Oh
that
yeah.
could have. And I thought
Well,
that would have been interesting.
I mean, this is just fantasy booking, but
Yeah.
okay. So the reports are that Kyle O'Reilly's contract is up in December. So February, at the end of February is Revolution. 90 days is close around that time. If you hey,
He's NXT. His contract expires. There's no 90-day compete clause. That's only on these guys.
that's true. It's a 30-day. So
Yeah.
he could show up and there could be some weird new see, here's the thing with that. I know fans are fantasy booking this undisputed era version in AEW. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think Tony
No, but I think
Khan's
they're going to tease it.
they'll tease it.
Yes.
They'll give the fans the wink wink, but I don't think we're going to get O'Reilly, Fish, and Cole in a faction. Tony Khan's going to be like, I don't want to just take a faction from WWE. You know what I mean? Like I don't see that happening, but I think they could become involved.
It'll be yeah, exactly. There'll be some interesting stuff surrounding it, but
Yeah.
in the end, it's not going to be a reunite. The Undisputed are reuniting.
No.
So we'll
What
see.
did you what did you think of the Bucks? Do you think they're going back babyface, or do you think see, I think it's a little more intricate than just, oh, they're back babies. I think I don't know what's going on there. I just can't see them going back to baby faces like this.
No,
But maybe
this version of the Bucks was so much better than babyface version of the Bucks.
it really was.
Honestly, when I first started, the first time I saw the Bucks was in AEW, and they were great in the ring, but I was like, it's so cheesy. Like, why do people love these guys?
Hawk
Like,
felt the same way. Hawk felt the same way, and he fell in love with the Bucks when
same
they
thing
turned
here. I
heels.
love this version. If anything, I'd rather see Omega go babyface. I don't know if they do that, but then again, at the end of the match, you saw Hangman hanging over Omega, touching his chest, and
Yeah.
so
I don't know if that was just kind of like wrapping up this long storyline amongst all of them.
yeah,
I don't think it's like, oh, we're back now. The Bucks are buddies with Adam again, and I don't Adam Hangman Page, that is, but
yeah.
I don't know. I worry because I think one of the issues for me right now is I don't think AEW has enough true heels. I'm talking like you've got MJF, you've got right now the Elite, but you don't have that. I want a heel. Miro flirts with it a little bit, but that Brock Lesnar type of heel. The guy
Yeah.
who isn't funny, the guy who isn't the shitbag heel or the chicken shit heel, the guy who is almost like this unstoppable force and doesn't and just wrecks people and has no mercy, no I
Yeah.
want that type of guy in AEW, someone that they can rally around to defeat and
Yeah. Listen, we saw it looked like Mox was maybe turning heel. Like he kind of
yeah,
showed some
yeah, that could
tendencies of
be
being different. I don't know where they'll go when he gets back, but also Punk is CM Punk. I wouldn't be shocked to see him take a heel turn.
I
I
wouldn't
don't
either.
know if the fans will boo him though.
They would.
Like,
He's good.
you think so? He's
He
so good.
needs to run the circuit though. You can't turn
Yeah.
him soon. Like they need to get the victory tour out of him where people just get, oh, Punk's here now. There's still a little bit of these new crowds that are seeing him for the first time. I don't think they should pull the trigger on that now. And when they pull the trigger on that, he has to do something extremely dastardly
I mean,
to,
it kind of started already with him the way he was attacking Eddie Kingston. You know?
yeah, I feel like that was a different animal where Eddie's so likable. Um, but Punk was speaking a lot of truth too. It's not like he was saying anything that was out of the way. He called him a bum, but Danielson in the lead up to his match with Kingston was saying the same exact stuff.
Yeah.
It was just kind of the real factor where I'm not being a bad guy here. I'm just telling you what a lot of the boys thought in the back of you.
Yeah. Sure.
He wasn't doing real deplorable heel shit to me.
Yeah. I'd like to see Eddie Kingston get a real push now. He's got to start winning some matches.
Oh yeah.
He
Yeah. I
deserves
would
it.
he is someone that would benefit from a really shitbag heel. Like I would honestly love to see him matched up with MJF in a
I was just gonna
program.
say that.
Like
Can you imagine?
MJF talking trash to him about that Players Tribune letter he wrote and really get
Yeah.
personal with it. And then,
Call him lazy instead of depressed.
oh yeah, everyone rally around Eddie to beat this guy. I mean, that's the type of
Yeah.
stuff that it would light the crowd up for sure.
Mm. Another thing, MJF's been on such a run. Is he leading up to a feud with Hangman? There's so many potentials here. There's so much potential,
Oh, I
and it
know.
all sounds so freaking good. I want it all at once.
What
But the beauty of AEW is they don't rush it.
I know. What did you think of the whole this match? I was kind of on. I thought they were going to do something with it. Was the Cody Pack Andrade? There was some great shit in it. I mean, there were some great spots and everything, but I thought we were going to get a piece of story here, and I didn't feel like we got a piece of story
Yeah, I
here.
was I was totally shocked that Malachi and Andrade didn't win. I
I
would have thought
was
there would have
too.
been more story to tell if they do win.
Right,
And then the stories of them just tagging each other in kind of got lame fast because it happened so much in the beginning, both
right.
teams. Um,
The old
yeah,
can they coexist thing.
yeah. So I was a little disappointed. Like I said, I expected something out of it. There was like I thought maybe another Black Mist or a Black Mist to Andrade, but Andrade, I can't even say his name.
Andrade.
Andrade by accident, like goes for Cody and misses, starts up something there. Although like he, he's an awesome heel right now too.
Oh yeah,
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 so there's another guy, and he's so good in the ring. Pac would make a monster heel too.
yeah. He kind of
I
played that in the beginning. I feel like
Yeah,
uh he could. I would like to see him even like go against Sammy Guevara for the TNT title a little bit. Like
that would be an
that would
amazing
be
run. Pac, they need to do some. Here's a little hot take. I don't feel like they're utilizing Pac to his full ability. I don't
outside
know
of
if it's
putting on great matches. I mean, he's had
yeah,
some great matches, but he hasn't been thrust into a real like meaty story to sink his teeth into.
yeah. I don't know if it's his travel issues. They're worried about travel issues or
That was a
whatever.
lot
But
of it. That was a lot of it
so
in the pandemic. I think
I
that
really
held him
thought,
back a lot.
yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with him because the guy, another amazing guy. What any other ideas coming out of this pay per view for future? What are we going to see over the next few
I
weeks?
mean,
We got Jay Lethal.
Jay Lethal's interesting. I mean, That is a veteran too. That's a great guy to have in your locker room. I mean, this dude is his work in TNA back in the day, obviously his run in ROH. He's one of those guys. He came up in the TNA X division with, the AJ Styles of the world, but he was one of the first guys in that X division that showed you that you can bring in psychology and in-ring storytelling with your high spots. So he has a great mind for the ring, and I can't wait to see how they utilize Jay Lethal. Um, I I know I'm hanging on to this thing, and I'm going to keep beating this drum. And I've said it on the Thursday podcast with Sneed. I said it on Hanging at the Tavern. I truly believe there is something huge in store with us for Cody Rhodes. I don't know what it's going to be, but this whole, like we talked about with Sam Roberts on the debate, people saying, "Oh, Cody's saying he's not going to be," dude. They're doing something. They
But
are.
he said he's not turning heel, so
Yeah, he said it on Roads to the Top. He said it in an interview. He's not going to do it. Like, that's bullshit.
yeah.
But I don't know how they're going to do it, and I know they know that the fans want it. So they're not, they know that the more they wait, the more they get that crowd salivating for it and calling for it, the bigger it's going to be when it does happen. And
Yep.
I think they're wanting fans to give up on it and really turn like legit mad at Cody. Like he's just not, he's going to be the new John Cena.
No, they do
And
want
then
to make the
something,
people. They want to convince everybody he's not turning heel before he turns heel.
right. And I don't think it's going to be one of those old school wrestling heel turns where he comes out and beats up Arn, or he comes out and
Right.
cuts a shitty promo. You fans never cared about me. I don't think that's the type of heel turn we're going to get with Cody. I think it's going to be bigger. Like I said on Hanging at the Tavern, I think we're going to see, to me, it's all there. Like the table is laid right in front of them. And I know they see it. And I know like the money and the heat and the they just wrapped up a 3-year storyline. You want to talk about a storyline that could take over your company for a year and a half to 2 years? You have it all there. If the story becomes Cody trying to destroy AEW, maybe not destroy it, but turning his back on the company that he built, going after Tony Khan. I still think that Malachi Black promo that was directed at Tony Khan when he said Julius Caesar being assassinated, it wasn't only Brutus that betrayed him. I still think that was breadcrumbs towards something very, very big that we're going to look back at when these things start to happen. We're going to look back at that promo and be like, holy shit, they were teasing it then. And that was
Yeah.
8 months ago. You know what I'm like? I feel like
Exactly.
I'm not saying it's happening next month. I'm not saying it's happening anytime soon. But all these people like Hawk and people are like, man, they just need to turn. They're not going to turn him. Blah 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 blah. It's going to happen, but this is the long game. They are playing a
Right.
long game, and when it happens, it's going to be the biggest story in AEW. Do you think this company was built around Cody? Do you think he's just going to sit back and be the mid card guy while CM Punk and all these dudes and his whole family, Dusty Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, what he brought to AEW was that old school wrestling storytelling. That's kind of his bag. That's his thing.
Mm-hmm.
So while you've got the Danielsons, the Adam Coles, the Punks, and all this, do you think Cody's just going to step back and be like, he said, I've only got 3 to 5 years left in the business. I'm just going to step back and let these guys do it. And I'm going to, no, man, he is planning something. He's planning something that's going to legitimize him and put him up there with those guys, I think.
I agree 100%. I can't wait to see it. I loved Cody's last promo. I thought
Oh,
that was an interesting promo.
yeah.
Um, I think we're gonna see a lot of fun stuff. And like you said, if Malachi is the one who planted the seed for Cody to go heel, a slow turn. I love that.
It's like
Um,
the poison is getting it seeping into him, and
exactly. It's just slowly seeping in and gonna turn him.
something's going to happen, man. I don't know if he's going to be aligned with anyone. I've threw out even the possibility that Eric Bischoff and the heat that he's had with Tony Khan in the press after working with AEW several times, I think that could all be a work. Like,
That's
I
an
think
awesome work because there you go. You're making it mainstream.
that's kayfabe today.
Yes,
You
that's
want to keep
exactly
kayfabe
kayfabe.
alive, you go on your podcast and you shit on someone, and then instantly fans are like, "Oh," and then the person you're shitting on gets asked about it in an interview, and you play it up. That's how you get people to think, "No, man, this is real." Like that is how you would keep kayfabe alive. That is that new era of kayfabe that we were
Yeah.
speaking with Sam Roberts. That is the
Yep.
type of shit you have to do to make fans truly buy in, and you blur those lines of reality. um I think that's something they could totally do, you know?
What about when Tony Khan fires back at Bischoff saying, "Hey, listen, you don't talk to me. You buried WCW in the end."
He did
Oh, he
already.
did that already.
Oh yeah, they're like
Ooh,
Eric Bischoff came out and said that he's no Ted Turner, and that he needs to watch his mouth and all this stuff. And then Tony Khan went on Busted Open Radio and was
oh,
like,
yeah,
if anyone, he was like, that is the truest sense of the pot calling the kettle black, because Eric Bischoff was being lowered into the ring on a Harley motorcycle, and he's telling me that I shouldn't speak out. Like, so there's been a back and forth.
see, I didn't hear the whole Tony Khan thing on Busted Open. That
Yeah.
sounds like a real work to me.
Oh, I know, man. I heard that and I'm like, boom. There. What if he comes in? Tony or Cody Rhodes has a mysterious backer who's like, I built
Mm.
this company. I'm going to take it from Tony Khan, and this mysterious backer is Eric Bischoff. Like, dude, the world, and everyone can say, oh, they're not going to retread old shit. Dude, that's all they do is give you nods to old shit. Bobby Fish winking and nodding at Adam Cole. Like they know wrestling history and they play to it. So why
Yes,
wouldn't they do that?
and wrestling fans love reverting back to history.
It's all about it,
So,
man. That's all
yeah,
wrestling fans. That's the one thing people want to talk about WWE and shit on them and all that. But at the end of the day, the one thing that they have that AEW doesn't have is history. And that's why a lot of fans love it, because we've watched it our entire lives and they revert back to things and they reference things. But the thing that AEW has, they reference things from everywhere, not just
yeah,
their company. They're referencing WCW stuff, New Japan stuff, Ring of Honor stuff. So
WWE stuff. They
exactly, like,
they had the champagne truck. Gee, I wonder where they got that idea
right,
from.
exactly.
There's
That's
been other little things. They've had the Young Bucks saying, "I'm sorry, I love you" with the super kick. Like,
all of that. Like
there's
us,
other little
the
things. So
wrestling fans, we love those nods to the
yes,
past.
we
And
do. I mean,
you bring in Bischoff and the mysterious backer, Bischoff comes out. Everyone's like, holy shit. Then Bischoff cuts a fucking promo where he's like, I almost took down a company before, and this time I'm going to do it. Like it could be anything like that.
yeah, people would be. I'd be there for that. Sign me
Oh,
up.
dude, sign me up. I would be eating that shit up. Tony Khan becomes the ultimate baby face. People rally around AEW. That's the one thing right now that AEW, and I've said it for months now. AEW has the best matches. AEW, in my opinion, right now has one of the best rosters. But the one
Yeah,
thing they are lacking is that game changing storyline that gets people that aren't watching to be like, what the fuck's going on? Oh shit, I gotta watch this. They need that Hogan Andre. They need that McMahon Stone Cold. They need that NWO. They need that legendary storyline that brings in another million viewers.
yeah. Tony Khan coming out to shut Eric Bischoff up on TV,
Uh,
something like that.
You got to do it smart. I mean, I
Yeah,
think they tread into. I don't know if I want to see Tony Khan every week as a character.
yeah. No,
You
I
know,
don't want to see him every week. I don't think he wants to be on every week. I know he said he doesn't, and it wouldn't work. But as a one-time thing to try and shut him up.
But there's ways they could do it with having him involved that could still make that story great, and it wouldn't be the traditional WWE way they've done it or WCW way they've done it where he comes down to the ring with a mic and talks. Like, it could literally be Cody running in on him at the gorilla position and talking shit, and he's just sitting there eating it. Like, you could play it different
Yes,
ways where
exactly.
you're not putting him in a spot where he's going to look bad,
Yes.
as a performer. Like,
Don't even have him talking. Like you said, you could have Cody go in the back yelling at him, and he just sits there.
right.
So
There's tons of ways you could do it without just having Tony Khan be the talking head that talks in the middle of the ring. Like,
yeah, no, I don't even want to see Tony Khan in the middle of the ring.
I mean,
Listen,
if
we've
you
all
do it
seen
right
him talk.
a couple times where he comes out and spills his heart out and the fans really get behind him, like, we're going to save this company, whatever. But
As you
it's
know,
fun to fantasy book.
as you've been to AEW events, we get that little Tony Khan, speech
Oh yeah.
before the events start, and those are fun. I don't know how the guy would be having to come out there and be a performer every week, an entertainer.
Yeah, I don't think any
I
of us
don't
want to
think
see
that's
it,
him.
I,
No,
I think
no,
I think in a storyline like that, he could still be brought up, but he's in the
right.
back, and you have the other EVPs step up for him, or
It,
the Jerry Lynn's, the Dean Malenkos. You bring
yeah,
those people in as characters who've done it before, and have Cody be the bad guy who's going against everything. Who knows? It could be that it's one of those stories where if done right, it could be the most epic shit ever.
yeah.
But if done wrong, it could be ridiculous and stupid.
Little references, just like the way when Vince was first being acknowledged as the owner, he never acknowledged it, but other people did.
Right,
So
right.
just references, called out in
We've
promos.
seen him on TV before. There's been
Yeah,
those shots back at the gorilla, the dusty position as they call it.
yeah,
And we've seen Tony like throw his hands up and do so they could have him on screen without having to have him cut a 6-minute promo in the middle of the ring.
yes, yes. I think it would be great. Well, this was fun, Chad. Hopefully we can do this after every AEW pay per view. Look
Yeah,
back.
dude. Yeah, I'm down, man.
So cool, guys. Make sure you're following all of our social media. Listen to all of our podcasts. Go to the turnbuckletavern.com. You'll get all of our links in one spot. We have a huge contest going on. When we get to 1,000 followers on YouTube, we're having a huge giveaway. But until we get to 1,000, you're getting a prize at 600, 700, 800, and 900 followers as well. Soon we got to really work on that list and get it out there so people know
Yeah, we have
exactly
so
what
much
they're
shit
going
we're
to
giving away. We don't know when we're giving it away.
win. Yeah, so
Um,
we're going to get that to you guys very, very soon.
but the good thing is if you do any of those things, you're entered into every giveaway.
Yes, you don't have to wait to a certain point. You enter now, you're entered into everyone. If you wait, you're going to miss the 600, which is a autographed photo of the AEW World Champion.
Yeah,
Just one of
Hangman.
the things in that. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Chad, for being here.
I
Until
appreciate you
next
having
week,
me, man.
anytime, man. Love, peace, and pro wrestling.